Hello. Hi, everybody. Tonight we're going to be making some fresh tortillas and chilaquiles. And by the way, welcome to a basics culinary class. My name is Sam Maggi. I'm a culinary mentor and chef with Basics Market. Um, these are two really nice and easy, simple recipes. Um, you can use the tortillas, of course, for making all kinds of great things. So it's a wonderful skill to have. Um, these recipes are available on our Basics Market website. And if you have any questions as we go along with this class, go ahead and type them into your Q&A box, and we will answer them live as we're cooking along here. Tonight, we're going to be using our fabulous Gwendolyn's eggs. These eggs are grown by the Basics Market group, Wild Rose Foods, and we sell them in our markets. They're organic, free-range eggs, really, really nice to work with, and always fresh and local. All right, let's get going on this. So what I'd like to do is start with the tortillas, and you can see I've been making some tortillas already this past hour or so, just playing around. So you can make your tortillas in advance, and chilaquiles is really a dish that came about from using your kind of stale tortillas from if you're making fresh tortillas, and then maybe you have some extras that have set around a couple days. This is a great way to utilize them. So, you might want to think about this whole situation as you can make fresh tortillas for tacos one night and then have chilaquiles in the morning. But also it's great just to make the tortillas for the chilaquiles, and that's what I do a lot because they're so good with fresh tortillas. And chilaquiles is one of these dishes that it started out very humbly, and now you can get all kinds of fancy variations because really you can do anything you want with this dish. And what we're presenting here is a nice basic recipe to get you going. But anyway, the tortillas. So I'm going to be making tortillas using masa harina, and this is kind of a corn flour. Now, masa harina is the flour, whereas straight masa, which you can also make tortillas and tamales with, is the corn that's just the corn that's been alkalized using lime, that's just mushed up and turned into a dough, and that's what masa is. That's masa dough. The harina is that when that masa has been dried and then ground up, and that's where we get the flour. So this is a really nice, stable, and easy to use product, readily available. Now, if you want some fresh masa, it is available in the Portland area. There's a place in Southeast Portland on 76th or 72nd and Flavel, Three Sisters Knox Tamal, it's called, and they have all kinds of great fresh masa, and then you can just buy the dough and make tortillas to your heart's content. So that's neat if you want to get into that. But otherwise, this is a great way to go, and you'll find that these are far superior to just store-bought tortillas, making them fresh. And I'll show you. So simple. So basically, the tortilla, and I don't have a written recipe for this, but there is one on the back of this Bob's Red Mill masa harina bag, and that's the formula I'm using. It's the universal formula is 1 part flour or masa harina, 1 part masa harina to 1 part water and some salt. And you can go 1 to 1.5 parts water. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to be using 1 cup masa, 1 cup of water, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This will make approximately 6 tortillas. So we want to kind of mix that up. And then I'm going to start adding my water in. And you'll find you'll just get to where you know how much water to put in. So tortillas, the first tortilla that we have evidence of is from 10,000 years ago from Mesoamerica, or what's now Mexico. And legend has it that the first tortilla invented was made by a peasant who wanted to make a gift for his king. And he came up with this idea of this corn cake, and tortilla translates to little cake. And so tortillas sometimes through history have had different additions, plantains and various things, but really this corn tortilla is our typical tortilla we find throughout history. And it just works great. So what I like to do now is I'm going to cover this and let it sit for about an hour. Up to half an hour to an hour. An hour is good. And what you're looking for here is just to get it hydrated. And so here I have some that's been sitting for an hour, some dough. And so after it's hydrated, then I like to knead it a little bit. And so the kneading will further hydrate it, the dough, and as well as sort of soften it and get some continuity to it. And you can see this is really easy to work with. I haven't put anything down on this board like flour or anything like that. And we're getting this wonderful, almost bouncy dough. It's really nice to work with the masa. So I'm just giving it a good knead, and the more you knead it, sort of the softer your tortillas will be. And so the corn for the tortillas has been out. Yes, question.
Yes, we wanted to know if the dough is left out at room temperature or if it goes in the fridge.
So we have a question, and the question is the dough left out at room temperature, or does it go in the fridge? And wonderful question. And yeah, while it's resting, just leave it at room temperature. So here I've got my trusty bench knife or pastry cutter. And as always, I'd recommend anyone working with dough or cooking in general have one of these deals. It's super handy. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut this dough into 12 pieces. Each of these halves will make 6 tortillas, average size corn tortillas. And so while you're working with the dough, you want to cover the excess. And here's some parchment paper. You could use plastic wrap for this as well. So I'm making 6 balls. And you can use a dishcloth also to keep your dough moist, or moist, not moist, but keep it from drying out. Okay, so you have a tortilla ball, right? So there's a few ways to flatten it out. Now, one way is a tortilla press, and these are really neat. And this one is a cool example of a tortilla press from Mexico. It's put together with some staples and some nails and stuff. And it works really well. There's often you'll see metal tortilla presses, and those are really good. But any sort of press, tortilla press will do. And then you put some parchment paper or plastic wrap on either side of your tortilla ball. And you just go ahead and exert some pressure. And what you get is a tortilla. And so now this is a hot skillet. So I have it on sort of medium heat, and that works really well. I'll do one more like this, and then we'll show, until you get your tortilla press. There's some other ways to do this, which also work nicely. But the tortilla press is really fast, and if you're making a lot of tortillas, it's kind of neat because you'll get a real even and consistent tortilla out of it. Now, other methods are by hand, which I am definitely no pro, but I do enjoy giving it a go. And so that's just going back and forth, and you see people who are very adept at this, and this takes me a little more time. I'm sure there's many tortilla makers who are more practiced, but it works well. And once again, I'm always happily surprised about how forgiving and just non-sticky this dough is. So there I have a little more of an abstract tortilla, but it will work, and it's in the right thickness for us, the range of thickness. Another method is with your parchment paper, one on either side, we can use a skillet, and you can go ahead and press. And this is another form of tortilla press, right? And you can jump up and down on this if you need to. Do whatever it takes. And the cool thing about this is you also get the insignia of your frying pan on the tortilla, so you branded it. And that works pretty well. And that's also easy. And then with this, so far, with that method, sometimes I want to make them a little thinner, but it works well. Okay, and one more trusty method is, of course, the rolling pin. And with the rolling pin, once again, the parchment paper is really handy. You just put your dough ball down there, flatten it out, flatten the dough out a little bit, and then you can roll it out. And the rolling pin is nice because you can get them really thin. And then the only thing with the rolling pin for me is, my edges aren't always really round, but I'm sure you guys can do a great job at that. But I do like how nice and thin you can get it with the rolling pin. So those are 4 ways to roll tortillas, and 3 of them do not involve the tortilla press. So that's kind of nice. But if you really get into making tortillas a lot, why wouldn't you, right? I'd recommend getting a press. It really makes things go very smoothly. Okay, so that is the dough. Yeah, and just a little note about the lime. So you'll see that the way masa is made is with corn and lime. And so lime is calcium hydroxide, and it can either be derived from stone or limestone, or even the compound in the rock is called something like portlandite, interestingly enough, and you get the alkaline from that. But the original tortilla, original nixtamalization is what it's called, alkalinizing the corn, was done with ash from fires. So at some point, someone discovered that putting the kernels of corn in the ash with some water helps get the tough outer layers of the corn off. And then that's how you get this nice workable dough. Okay, So that's the tortillas. Now you can see here where they're coming along. It just takes a couple minutes on each side. And what I tend to do, I really enjoy making flatbreads, all kinds of flatbreads. And I'm always kind of poking them like that in the hopes, and it usually works out that as you poke them, and if you don't feel comfortable with your finger, of course you can use a spatula, but it tends to create pockets where the air will get trapped, the hot air, and you'll get some nice bubbles. And I really like it when a tortilla sort of rises up and pillows and billows, and you get that cool layered effect in there. Yes, we have a question.
If you do have a grill or an open flame, can you do it on that?
The question is, can you cook a tortilla on an open flame or a grill? And yeah, sure. Any sort of heat source, really. A hot enough rock, right? In our summers nowadays, you could probably cook a tortilla on the sidewalk and you'd be okay. So yeah, any hot surface that's hot enough. But yeah, a grill would be really fun, and that'd be a neat way to do it. I wouldn't recommend poking your finger on the grill. But yeah, that would work. Okay, well, there you go. You can see how the tortillas kind of come together. And while those are finishing, I didn't really preheat my pan enough, so that'll take a few seconds. But luckily, I cooked a bunch here before. So let's go ahead and look at the chilaquile recipe. So chilaquile is a great simple dish with eggs, and eggs and tortillas and tomatoes are your basic components, and then anything else you want to layer in there. And you can see in our recipe here, we have some, of course, chili pepper and garlic and onion. So to start, we need some crispy tortillas. Now, if you don't want to use or make tortillas, or don't have tortillas, but you have tortilla chips, you can do this with tortilla chips. They tend to get a little limper in the end, but they will work. And of course, you can just put them in at the very end, and they'll hold up a little better for you. So we're going to use 6 of our tortillas, and we're just going to want to cut these in strips. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 at a time, and I'm making strips about a 1/2 inch wide, and then I'm going to cut it in half again. And so you have this sort of thing. And what's nice about the homemade tortillas is the texture, right? It's really great. It's a little thicker usually than at least mine are, which I like. A little thicker than a store-bought tortilla, and there's just a lot more chew to the tortilla. Now we'll need a little bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and just toss these tortilla strips with a couple teaspoons of neutral oil. So I have just some canola oil here, but like avocado oil would be nice, safflower oil, any neutral oil, an oil that doesn't have a lot of flavor coming along with it. And so that's 2 teaspoons of oil, and you just want to really coat the tortilla strips, and then just put them on a sheet pan with some parchment paper, and go ahead and put these in a 375 oven, and it takes about 10 minutes, or 20 minutes total, 10 minutes, give them a stir, another 10 minutes, and they'll be nice and crispy. But do keep an eye on them, because depending on your oven, they can go a little faster. These came out really nice. We have a very powerful convection oven, which is terrible for some stuff, but really great for making tortilla strips, apparently. It destroys a lot of things, but it makes a great tortilla strip. So these are nice and crispy. I don't know if you can hear that, but good crispy strips. So those are ready to go for our chilaquiles. All right. So I'm going to use this same skillet that I did my tortillas in because they don't really make much of a mess at all, right? For my chilaquiles, and I just want to get that skillet nice and hot. And we're going to put 2 more teaspoons of neutral oil into the skillet. And I beaten 4 eggs here, and so I have 4 beaten eggs. I have some diced onion somewhere around here. Oh, here it is. So I have, this is half of a white onion, and white onion is just a really good, strong onion flavor for, used a lot in Mexican dishes. Now you have all these ingredients. You have the tomatoes, you have onions, you have jalapenos, cilantro, garlic, and it sounds like a salsa, and it is a salsa. So I went ahead and I made some fresh salsa. And if you'd like to make fresh salsa, we have a class on fresh salsas. I think we have 3 recipes that we go through. And again, these recipes are available on our website, basicsmarket.com. And you can make your own fresh salsa, or you can use your favorite store's salsa from the market. That's good too. But I feel like since you have the ingredients, you might as well make some salsa, right? So I have, that's kind of a pico de gallo style salsa there. Okay, so we're going to add the onion. Now we have, sounds like we're up to sizzle now. So there's some onion. We're going to add 4 cloves of minced garlic. And we're going to add some jalapeno peppers. And so that's one of the jalapenos, and I did want to demonstrate cutting into a jalapeno. So this is a nice big one too, right? So you want to go ahead and take the stem off and then slice it in half lengthwise. And then for the jalapeno, it's handy to have a little spoon, and we'll go ahead and de-seed the pepper. So you want to go ahead and take the seed pack out, and you can get some of that pippy stuff out, and you'll do that with both sides. And anytime you handle pepper, you want to wash your hands well afterwards in case you touch your eyes or other sensitive parts of your body. The chili oils will burn you. So you want to, like this one is sort of a juicy one, so it's squirting up into my eyeballs a little bit. So just be aware of that when handling chili peppers. It's real easy to get into them. And then that's the rest of the chilies. And we go ahead and stir this around a bit. Smelling good. All right. So here we have our jalapenos, garlic, and onion, and the 2 teaspoons of oil. And so we just want these to soften a bit. So a minute or 2, get them nice and soft. And then we're going to go ahead and throw in some tomato. So there's 1 tomato, and again, I'm going to demonstrate tomato. We just going to come in from the top and go around the stem. And I kind of go in at a 45-degree angle, spin the tomato around, and then you get your top off, your stem out, and then you've got all this lovely tomato to work with. And so we'll go ahead and give that a slice across and then across. And here I'm just doing a rough chop. I'm not too worried about exact cuts. You just want to chop it up just like you would for salsa, for example. Just kind of run your knife through it. And then we'll throw that in there. And then that's going to add a lot of moisture and get things rolling again. Yes, we have a question.
Could you use any canned items in this recipe?
Oh, yes. So the question is, can you use any canned items? And sure enough, you can substitute for the chilies, a 4-ounce can of like diced green chilies, like Hatch chilies would be good, something like that. And for the tomatoes, you could just use a 14-ounce can of fire roasted tomatoes would be really nice. And I think we mentioned that in our recipe. And the fire roasted would give it a kind of a nice smoky flavor, which would go well with the dish. Yeah, good question. Okay, so we just want to kind of get all this going. Let those tomatoes. So the idea here is you want the tomatoes to give up the juice and kind of dry out, and then we'll be ready to put the eggs in. And then once again, we're using the Gwendolyn's eggs. And if you're local in the Portland area, these are our local organic eggs, raised or laid by hens, raised right here in the Willamette Valley. All right, so we're looking pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and create a nest for the eggs, right? So I'm going to push all the vegetable matter to the sides and make a nice well for my eggs, a nest. And into this nest, I'm going to drop a tablespoon of butter. And this is our Lulabelle's Creamery butter that we make as well. And it's a delicious butter. I highly recommend it for cooking anything really, and it's great for baking. Delicious on bread, all that stuff. Again, really fresh, organic, and from our own cows and our own milk. We have our own creamery, and we're going to be using cheese too from our Lulabelle's milk and creamery. Okay, so you want to drop that butter right in the center there. Get it nice and melty. And then we're going, as soon as that melts, we're going to throw our eggs right in there. All right, here we go. Here comes the eggs. And then things got really quiet. So I'm doing a scrambled egg here. You could do this dish any way you want, really. And this is just a way that I interpreted it. And I like the scrambled egg. And I also really like a nice, like soft cooked egg. And you could do all this vegetable stuff, your onion, tomato, chilies, garlic, all that stuff. And then drop like a poached egg or a fried egg on top, and that would be delicious also. Get some of that yolk. You can add anything you want to the chilaquiles, any sort of sauces, salsa. You know, it's really fun to top them. Today we're going to use cilantro, the fresh salsa I made, avocados and sour cream, and some and the Lulabelle's cheddar cheese. But you know, often people will add meats to the chilaquile, and that's kind of where now you can get chilaquiles in fancy restaurants, and they'll have like lamb or you know all kinds of different ground meats and stuff, and all that can be good. Chilaquiles can be a late night snack, a dinner, a breakfast, brunch, of course, a really nice brunch. So there the eggs are just set up, and that's where I want to keep them. And now I'm going to pull this pan from the heat because I don't want to overcook my eggs. And they're just right. And at this point, I'm going to mix the eggs in with my vegetables a little bit. One thing I really love about this dish is it's so colorful, and it's very, very nice to look at. Okay, so there we've got our eggs and our tomatoes and all that jive. And now we can come in with our tortilla strips. Oh yeah, and then we're going to mix in some cheese. So let's go ahead and so we'll put the cheese in it, and we want the cheese to go in at this point so it melts a little bit. And you can always go in and add more cheese on top, but it's sort of nice to get this cheese integrated right in there with your veggies and eggs and stuff. And then you get that nice melty texture. So there's that. And now the tortilla strips. And so one thing I like about this method is we're going to get some varied texture. So I really kind of stir those tortillas, the crispy tortilla strips in to the mixture of my eggs and veggies. And then you'll get some kind of softer bits and some crispier bits. If you really just like the crispy, you know, you can just kind of put the tortilla strips on top of individual servings. Would be one way to do it. You can really serve this dish, either you break it into like 4 individual servings, or you can serve it like this and even put the skillet like so on the table and have people serve themselves, or put this all on a big platter and do the same sort of thing. So now I've got my tortilla strips in there, and I'm going to go ahead and top it with all this nice stuff. So I've got salsa. Ooh, I've got lime wedges. So a lime wedge over everything, you know, and then on the table to serve with this dish is a really great compliment. And I've got avocado. We have some how-to videos on our website on how to cut up various vegetables and avocados on there. And also, as far as that goes, we've done one knife skills class, and we are going to be doing another one soon. So if you have any questions about cutting stuff up, the knife skill classes are always fun to check out for that sort of thing. And here I have my pico de gallo salsa, which I just made fresh with all the ingredients that I had gathered for the chilaquiles. Now it all really comes together, right? And last but not least, I have some sour cream, and I'm just going to dot some sour cream around there. And again, once again, if you had some extra cheese to sprinkle on there, you could do that. but really you're the creator here, and you can do what you like. Put some more cilantro. And there you have it. It's chilaquiles with some fresh corn tortillas that we made right in-house in this kitchen, and threw them in there. Real simple, delicious food, and everything's nice and fresh. And if you haven't made tortillas before, just give it a go. You may never buy a tortilla again. It really is a superior product that you can make yourself. Well, if there are no more questions, that's what we've got for you today with this class. Thank you so much for joining me and checking out some chilaquiles and fresh tortillas. Please come to future classes. We have a bunch of neat ones coming up over the next several weeks. And we also encourage you to come to our markets, basics markets around the Portland area. Come get some of these great ingredients there. We have all the Bob's Red Mill products, such as the masa harina, and great produce selection, organic produce and organic meats, and of course the beautiful eggs, butter, and cheese that we used tonight. So there you have it. Please try out this dish if you made it along with me. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time. Happy cooking.